Water is a vital resource that is essential for life. And yet many indigenous peoples around the world are struggling to access it for survival. Indigenous peoples have a long history of water resource management, and their knowledge and practices are essential to the sustainable management of water resources. As climate change and population growth continue to strain supplies of clean water, the need to recognize indigenous rights to water and their traditional knowledge of water resources management has become increasingly important. In many parts of the world, indigenous communities are not afforded the same legal rights to water as other populations. In some cases, governments have not recognized indigenous peoples' rights to water, or have created policies that exclude them from participating in water decision-making. This has resulted in the displacement of indigenous communities and the destruction of their traditional water management systems, which are essential for sustainable and equitable water management. Indigenous peoples have a deep connection to the land, and their traditional knowledge of water management and stewardship is often the most effective way to ensure sustainable water resources. They have developed systems of irrigation, water storage, and water conservation that are tailored to the local environment and can be used to manage water resources in a more sustainable way. Additionally, indigenous peoples' traditional knowledge of water resources includes an understanding of the importance of protecting water sources from pollution and overexploitation. The United Nations has recognized the importance of indigenous rights to water and has taken steps to protect indigenous water resources. In 2007, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples was adopted, which recognizes indigenous peoples' rights to water and reaffirms their right to self-determination. In addition, the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues has created a number of initiatives aimed at protecting indigenous peoples' access to water, such as the International Year of Water Cooperation in 2013. Despite these efforts, there are still significant challenges to ensuring indigenous rights to water. Governments often fail to recognize indigenous rights to water, and indigenous peoples are often excluded from water management decisions. In addition, indigenous communities often lack access to the resources and technologies that allow them to effectively manage water resources. Recognizing and protecting indigenous rights to water is essential to the sustainable management of water resources. Indigenous peoples' traditional knowledge and practices are essential for the sustainable management of water resources, and their participation in water decision-making is essential for the equitable distribution of water resources. By recognizing and protecting indigenous rights to water, governments can ensure that indigenous peoples have access to and control over their traditional water sources, and can ensure that water resources are managed in a sustainable and equitable way.